Hello everyone. This is Noor Zibda, and you are watching the Thank Gut It's Fixed show, episode number 11. Today's episode is going to be about prebiotics, what they are, and their health benefits, and where you can get them from. And this is going to be interesting, is that they may not work for everyone, so you make sure you stick around for the whole episode so that you know this thing. Now, as you know, I focus on integrative and functional nutrition therapies for digestive health, and a lot of the people I see have IBS or other symptoms related to their gut. So a lot of times I'm actually not giving them prebiotics. I'm taking out these foods from their diets because they have an imbalance in their gut flora, and only after we fix the imbalance then we introduce prebiotics again. And sometimes what I find with my patients is that we take the prebiotics out and then we start introducing them, and some of them tolerate them and some of them don't, which can tell us that there are stuff. It can give me like a picture or an indication of a few things that may be happening in the gut. So if you are joining me live, just tell me where you are and where you're listening from. If you're watching the recording, just say hello, where you're from, or where you're listening. And it's a pretty cool episode today. Now, it may get a little bit technical, so just bear with me. But if you like a little bit of chemistry and physiology, you might like that. Now, what really inspired today's episode is actually one of the talks I did over the weekend. So I did a talk. I did a couple of talks, one for dietitians discussing integrative and functional nutrition and what it means. But then the other talk was to at an event, like a local bazaar event, and they had a workshop series. So of course I choose to talk about the gut because it's my focus, but it's also the root of many conditions. And as you will see in today's episode, actually having good healthy gut and the benefit of prebiotic is going to extend to not just your gut health, but to other things like your bones and your heart disease, weight loss even. Okay, so what really inspired today's talk is I talked a little bit in that session about the imbalances and what could happen. But one person asked me a question saying, well, what can I eat to improve my gut health? Now, the answer to what can I eat to improve my gut health, if you have that question too, say yes, or say me as well. I'm curious to see how many people are actually wondering with that, like, what do I eat to improve my gut health? Now, this is going to actually depend on the current status of your gut health. So if you don't have IBS, you don't have gas, you don't have bloating, you don't have any of these symptoms, which is, that's ideal, then you are more likely to be able to tolerate the prebiotic foods and that I will be talking about today. Now, if you have heartburn, acid reflux, stomach pain, bloating, gas, or diarrhea, starting right away, and like if I tell you about these prebiotic foods and then you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch, add them to your diet, it will actually worsen your symptom. So just be careful with that. And the reason is you kind of have to slowly introduce them, maybe eliminate them, maybe actually fix the balance in your gut first until you're able to tolerate them. So just be careful. Don't say, well, Noor says try asparagus and now I'm trying it and my stomach hurts. It's very individual, okay? So let's keep that in mind. So let's get started. So, again, these foods, so incorporate them slowly, more often as we talk about them. So if you are just joining me, my name is Noor Zibda. I'm an integrative and functional dietitian, and I help people fix their guts so that they have amazing bodies, eliminate their pain, digestive issues, and eliminate many health ailments that can be related to the gut. So what are prebiotics? So prebiotics, it's generally like a newer term. People have been talking about fiber. The USDA talks about fiber many, many years ago. But prebiotic is a new term. So prebiotics are a type of fiber. So all prebiotics are fiber, but not all fibers are prebiotics. Prebiotics, they are actually food or fertilizer for the bacteria in the gut. So you may have heard of the term probiotic. So probiotic is the actual live cultures. so the microbes. Then prebiotic is the food or fertilizer to feed them. Now there are three categories for fiber to be designated as a prebiotic. First of all, it has to be tolerate the acidity of the gut. So, if you remember from all discussions that the stomach is going to produce acids, so prebiotics have to be tolerate the acidity of the gut. That number one. Number two, they are not digested by our human enzymes. We don't have the enzymes to digest them. Now, this is general for all fibers, but prebiotics not just cannot be digested, they are fermented by gut bacteria. So not all fibers are being fermented by the bacteria in the gut. So they must pass through the stomach. They must be fermented by gut bacteria, and they must stimulate the growth of beneficial bacteria or bacteria that promotes good health. So these are the three things. If you remember from the videos that we did before, your digestive system, you've got the small intestine and then you've got the large intestine. And, I don't have an image ready for that. So what happens is the prebiotics actually should make it to your colon, because that's where the majority of your bacteria is, and they need to be fermented in the bacteria, in the colon, and that's how they show their, we get their benefit. So the two types of prebiotics that we know are called, the first one is inulin and the other one is fructooligosaccharides or FOS. So I have a picture. This is what FOS looks like. You don't need to do anything with chemistry, but this means multiple. Oligo means multiple. Fructo is fructose, and saccharide is sugar. So few sugar molecules that are bound together. We don't have the enzymes to break down these the links between the fructose, and so we don't digest them, but the bacteria in our gut will ferment them and then give us all the health benefits. The other one is called inulin. This is what it looks like. Now, it's not just fructose. It's got multiple compounds. It's a little bit more complicated, but both are considered prebiotics. Now, what these things do, they actually go into the large intestine, and what they do is they are going to start fermenting these, the bacteria in our gut is going to ferment these foods. So really how they help. Okay guys, lost you for a second in there. If you are just watching, our video got interrupted. I hope, let's go back smoothly. If you are watching and if you see this, let me know that you're still in there, that you're still here. So what we were saying, that prebiotic fibers, they go and they are going to improve the lining of the gut. So here's the lining of the gut bacteria, and I'll make this a little bit larger. Here we go. So if you see, you have helpful bacteria in blue, and what this bacteria does, they're going to bind to the bad bugs, and they're going to prevent them from entering our body. They're going to prevent them from harming us, and that's going to help keep the lining of the gut strong and healthy. And that's how it's going to improve, one of the ways to improve the immune system. Last week or earlier this week, I posted a link, an article showing that a study in Yale showed that autoimmune diseases can be triggered by bacteria in the gut migrating or going to certain tissues of the body. So when we have good healthy bacteria that are binding or attaching and preventing the bad microbes from entering our gut, then that's going to protect us from many issues, including and very important autoimmune conditions. So that's what they're going to do. Now, prebiotic fiber or prebiotics are going to help produce two types of bacteria that are known to be very beneficial to the human body, the bifidobacteria and the lactobacillus bacteria. So they are going to help us make of the good bacteria. So that's what we say, it's a fertilizer and feeds the good bacteria. And there are actually studies show that prebiotic foods help reduce the levels of bad bacteria, and these are of the Clostridia family. So C. diff is one of those people. So C. diff is a bacteria that will make you have diarrhea. And then the prebiotics, they are going to help reduce the pH of the gut, so it's going to make your stool more acidic. Now, what does that really mean? Like, we really don't measure the stool acidity, but when your stool is more acidic, then it prevents the growth of bacteria. In general, bacteria and microbes, when things are not acidic enough, they flourish. So we don't want the bad microbes to flourish, and helping reduce the pH of the gut is really helpful. Now, the other thing that prebiotics do is when the bacteria come and they eat up or they ferment the prebiotic fibers, they produce something called short-chain fatty acids. And short-chain fatty acids, they're a type of fatty acids. There are three main ones, but the most important one is called butyric acid, which is made of 4 carbon molecules. And what butyric acid does is it actually feeds the lining of the gut, and what it does, it helps the cells, so that the lining of the intestine is making new cells every 3 to 4 days. So it helps the proliferation, or helps the cells develop into healthy, wholesome, complete, fully functioning cells. So that's what butyric acid can do, and it's a short-chain fatty acid. Now, another short-chain fatty acid is called propionate, and what that does, actually, it goes to the liver, and it helps reduce how much liver is making cholesterol. So one of the reasons we used to think that fiber helps reduce cholesterol because it binds to fat in the gut and prevents you from absorbing fats. Well, maybe that's happening, but now we know that when you eat fiber, it helps bacteria ferment that, produce short-chain fatty acids, which directly affect how much cholesterol you produce. So that's, of course, heart disease prevention. Now, the other thing, short-chain fatty acids themselves lower the acidity of the gut, so that prevents pathogens from growing. Now, another interesting thing, short-chain fatty acids, they help you reabsorb the water and sodium, or regulate how much water and sodium. Of course, like the fluid balance and not having water retention, that's really important. But when they do that, they also help you absorb calcium and magnesium. So if you want to make sure you have good bone health, that your muscles are contracting properly. I mean, if you have fatigue in your muscles, calcium and magnesium are 2 minerals that are responsible for that. Your heart is a muscle. Your digestive tract is a muscle. So, that's going to be really important. Other studies find that prebiotics, actually, when they feed bacteria and they're a fertilizer, they actually promote production of more more microbes, and this actually bulkens the stool. So, and they have a laxative effect. So the more of these fibers you eat, if you're having constipation, or not having frequent or consistency that is smooth of bowel movements, then these fibers can actually help with that. Now, we also just keep in mind that all right, back to vitamin K2. So vitamin K2 is different than vitamin K1, and that vitamin is produced by bacteria in the gut. So when you have prebiotics, you're feeding the bacteria, you're making more vitamin K2, and vitamin K2 has many health benefits, but the most important thing for bones is that's vitamin that tells your calcium to go to your bones and not go to the heart and cause hardening or atherosclerosis. So again, this is how your gut can help your cardiovascular health. Let me make sure I'm keeping up my notes. So what they are really going to do, like a summary, they're going to reduce infections and pathogens and antibiotic-related diarrhea, which is C. diff. They're going to reduce inflammation in the gut, and Crohn's, colitis, all these conditions are inflammatory in the gut. They're going to have protect you from colon cancer because you're producing more waste and you're getting rid of the waste. Heart disease, bone health, absorbing more minerals. And actually, some studies have been able to link prebiotic intake with reducing obesity and weight loss, and some studies are linking prebiotics to reduced anxiety and better mood and not being as stressed or depressed. So again, this is how your gut is going to influence so many parts of your body, and that's why it's important. Now, of course, now you're super excited. You're like, all right, what kind of foods are we going to introduce so that we have more probiotics in my diet? As I said in the beginning, prebiotics are a type of fiber, but not all fibers are prebiotics. So we want to make sure that we are incorporating these prebiotic foods in our diet. Now, in general, all fibers are good. So lentils and chickpeas and even whole grains and are helpful. But these are the ones that I really want to focus on highlight today. So the first one is acacia powder, or it's called gum arabic. Or gum arabic. It's going to be found in fiber products. It's really like a powder gum, and the other one is chicory root powder. So these two, they may be more found in a supplement form. The chicory root powder, you can actually find tea, chicory tea, and that is actually, some people drink it instead of coffee. It doesn't have caffeine, but it gives you energy. So I'm going to have actually a full article after the video today or tomorrow, maybe Friday actually, with the list of all these foods. So take notes right now if you want to incorporate something today, but I will have the full list for you all written out and nicely. So these are the first two. And then Jerusalem artichoke is one of them. So I always, like in my office, I like to show my patients pictures of what these foods are. So these are Jerusalem artichokes if you've seen them in the store. Now, in general, with prebiotics, you're going to have more if you eat them raw. So maybe like shredding that, adding it to a salad, slicing it really thin, and dipping it with like guacamole or hummus or something like that, that would be helpful. Now, if you absolutely cannot eat them raw, cook them, but don't overcook them, like maybe saute or like just quickly to help soften them, but don't overcook so that we can get as many prebiotics as possible from them. Now, another one, so that's Jerusalem artichoke. Dandelion green. So it is found, you'll find it in regular store and ethnic store a lot. Now it's really bitter, so it might not want to make a salad out of dandelion greens, but it could be something that you sprinkle with on top of your salad or with other greens. Or if you are a little bit more brave or used to the bitter taste, you can add it to many dishes. So let's slowly introduce that. You can saute that and with a little bit of onion and garlic. You lose a little bit of the prebiotic, but it's still okay. You can add it to juice and smoothies, so you can try to be a little bit creative with the dandelion greens. Now, garlic and onion and leeks and shallots all have prebiotics. When they are cooked, you reduce some of the prebiotics, but so raw is going to be better for you if you tolerate the flavor and the taste. And make sure you're watching if you have gas and bloating, diarrhea, heartburn, and you're thinking in your head, there's no way I can eat onion. Just make sure that you stick around for the end of the video because I am going to talk about that. So jicama is another one. So here is that. So this is another root vegetable, and you can actually cut it into sticks or strips. You can have it as like chips, like raw vegetable chips. And if you cut it into sticks, you can again dip guacamole or hummus or any dip that you make. Raw asparagus. Again, you might be like, who eats raw asparagus? Give it a try if you can like snack on asparagus, especially in the spring. They'll be like juicy and in season. If you really can't do it raw, then it's okay, like if you just cook it a little bit. So, but don't overcook asparagus. It doesn't even taste good when it's really mushy. So like really, blanch it, like meaning if you have the water boiling in the pot and you just dip it in there for a couple of minutes and then take it out, or like dry roast it. And then underripe bananas actually have prebiotic in them. Now, other foods, pectin is a type of fiber that is found in apple and apple skin. So that might actually have, a little bit less, but that's another source of prebiotic that might be in foods that you commonly eat anyways. So these are the ones, the major ones. Let me make sure I have not left anything out in here. Now, as I said, cooking will make some of those prebiotics, they will reduce, not necessarily destroy, will reduce. So, if the only way you can eat them is cooked, that's okay. Cooked is better than none. So keep that in mind. Now, if you have any questions, write me in the comments. I'm trying to keep up with the content that I want to share with you today. And if you have any questions, so far I don't see any. And for those of you who are joining me live, thank you so much for being here today. So what do we do if you want to improve your gut health? We said these foods are going to improve your immune system, the intestinal lining, with vitamin production, absorbing more minerals. Now, if you are watching this and you have heartburn or reflux, acid reflux, or if you have stomach pain, gas and bloating, diarrhea, constipation, these are all signs of a gut imbalance, and we've talked about this many, many times. If you introduce these foods, they might actually make you feel worse, and that is because if you have the wrong bugs, they are food for the bacteria. If you have the wrong bugs in your gut, so if you have wrong microbes, or if you have more microbes in your small intestine, not in the large intestine, the majority of your microbes should be in the large intestine. If you have that, that's a condition called SIBO, it doesn't matter, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. If you have those, then you're going to have a lot of fermentation happening in the wrong place of the gut, in the small intestine, and that's not what we want. We want it to be in the colon, in the large intestine. If this is the case, then these foods will make you feel worse, and you will actually need to avoid them to feel better. Now, because they are super healthy, amazing foods, we don't want to avoid them for the rest of your life because you'll be missing out on their many, many health benefits. So what you really want to do is heal your gut, get rid of the pathogen that you have. There are many protocols that I use. It's not something I typically can share because of the liability. It's not something I'm always sharing on Facebook. But if you suspect, or if you try incorporating these foods and now you start feeling worse, that's a sign that you have the wrong bugs or bugs in the wrong place, and you have to fix that. So you want to eliminate those foods, work on fixing the balance of the gut flora, and then slowly introduce them again. There are ways to help you digest these foods, but really, like, digestive enzymes don't necessarily really help because first of all, we're not supposed to digest them anyways. And then the digestive enzymes, they help break them down, so they may alleviate the pain. So if you take an enzyme, it may alleviate the pain and discomfort from eating garlic and onion, but we did not benefit because when you take an enzyme, then the bacteria did not digest them. And the whole point is that we want the bacteria to digest them, so they produce the short-chain fatty acids, which has multiple health benefits. So this was the discussion on prebiotics. We talked about what they are: inulin, FOS or fructooligosaccharides, the foods that they are in, their health benefits. I hope you found this beneficial and not super duper overwhelming. If you have any questions, write me in the comments. I will come back and answer them. If you have any questions right now, I am monitoring the comments. But if this was, if you found this beneficial, give me a thumbs up. Tell me like what you have learned from this. Share this video with someone. One of my goals is to help spread more knowledge and share more with how the health of your gut is so important, that it can affect many aspects of your body, like your heart disease, weight management, bone health, and a lot of people are not getting this information from their regular doctors or regular sources of information. So if you thought this was beneficial, share it or tag someone who might benefit from this. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time on the Thank Gut It's Fixed show. Have a great week.